The newest MCU movie hit theaters this weekend, but is it one you should go check out, or is this one you can just let fly by? I'm Adam.
And I'm Emily.
And this is our review for Marvel's The Marvels? Interesting way that they wanted to name this movie. But yes, the newest MCU movie, The Marvels, is in theaters now, and it's the story of Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers, Monica Rambeau, or Captain Monica Rambeau, and Ms. Marvel, Kamala Khan, have now had their powers entangled since they're all light-based? I don't know.
That's about as much explanation as you're gonna get.
Correct. And every time they use their powers at the same time, they switch places. So they have to figure out what's going on with all that, but at the same time, a former Kree is now trying to destroy other planets to get back at Captain Marvel for what she did in her first movie. Do we remember, and I don't know if Marvel does, that Captain Marvel, the movie, took place in the 90s?
They don't remember that.
So this movie takes place in, remember, we're 5 years past where we are now in the MCU. So this movie takes place somewhere around 2028. That is 35 years since Captain Marvel happened. Why are we going back to the Kree? Why is it Kree again?
That's the only villain that Captain Marvel has.
Apparently. But we also get the idea that Carol Danvers is still struggling with what the Kree did to her when they took away all her memories and made her into a weapon. It's been 35 years, Carol. Let it go.
Basically, we get a whole bunch of previously on in this movie. There is at least 2 montages of, hey, if you didn't watch Captain Marvel, here's what you missed.
Mm-hmm.
It was really frustrating being someone who has watched the movies. I'm like, why are you wasting my time by showing me all of this again?
It's an hour and 45-minute long movie. And I would say a good 10 to 15 minutes of this movie were previously on other movies or TV shows.
Yeah.
Since both Captain Monica Rambeau and Kamala Khan have yet to appear in a movie, they each appeared in different Marvel TV shows. Kamala Khan appeared in, obviously, Ms. Marvel, and Monica Rambeau appeared all the way back when in WandaVision. Who remembers this character?
I forgot this character existed.
It's been 3 years, so to shove her into this and think that the audience is actually going to care anything about her is insane. Especially because they don't do anything with this character. Now, Teyonah Parris is a good actress. She does what she can with this character, but nobody cares about this character. She is so secondary in the overall grand scheme of things that when they try to put her front and center in this movie, it just doesn't work.
I really want to like this character. She is very inviting. She's energetic. She's someone I want to follow. We just haven't in so long that I just don't feel connected to her. I feel like they could have brought her back in like Secret Invasion. That would have been a good time to show her because she's seen with Nick Fury a lot.
Was she in Secret Invasion?
I don't think so.
I don't know. I just watched that show when it came out a couple months ago. I don't remember anything about it. And this movie doesn't either.
It really doesn't.
You're right, though. I want to like her. I just can't bring myself to do it.
Mm.
And this movie didn't help her at all.
No.
Kamala Khan, who's played by Iman Vellani, had her own TV show last year on Disney+. I was not a fan of that show. I'm not a fan of the character. I think the actress is just okay. She got a lot of praise for playing this character, but at the end of the day, it's just like, okay. You did it.
She's interesting. She's unique. She's different than what we've gotten a lot in the MCU. So I think that's why a lot of people are praising her.
Is she different because she's young? Because there's a ton of new heroes who are young.
It's not that she's young, it's that she's excitable, that she feels very genuine in this youthfulness, and I can like it, but it goes too far at times.
This movie especially goes way too far, so we found out in the Ms. Marvel TV show that she's a big fan of Captain Marvel. It's why she uses that name, and why her costume looks remarkably similar to Captain Marvel's. And then she meets Captain Marvel in this one. And it goes beyond, oh, it's so cute that she, that's her hero. She looks up to her. To the point of she should get a restraining order or throw her off the ship and let her float through space. It crosses this line of creepy and weird. And the movie plays it as a joke, but it shouldn't be. This is not a 6-year-old who's obsessed with a superhero. She's a teenager. This is bad.
She was super cute at the beginning. I know I laughed at a few moments, but honestly, it did get very cringy very quickly. And she did calm down a bit as the movie went on, which I enjoyed. But like I said, she's just too much.
I didn't like the show, and I also have a big problem with this movie and her being introduced in it. This movie picks up basically where that show left off. But all of a sudden in this one, Ms. Marvel is a badass superhero. She can fight with the best of them. She's pulling out Black Widow moves. She's got complete control of her powers beyond anything we saw in the show. But it picked up right as that show ended. So when did she learn all this? Did the movie forget that she had a TV show and that it picked up right afterwards?
This is another one of those times where I enjoyed watching the movie, just sitting there, eating my popcorn. And then afterwards, when we discussed it, you found so many plot holes that I'm like, oh, yeah.
One of the other major things that doesn't work in this movie, and if you guys can't tell, I'm not a fan of this movie. You'll get my grade later in this review, but it's not going to be good. Nick Fury is obviously in this movie because he's the through line in all of these movies, but we just had the show Secret Invasion, where he went through a hell of a lot, and his character became very dour, and all of a sudden now he's cracking jokes. He's pretending like Secret Invasion never happened. And in fact, his characterization in this movie is completely different than what we got in that TV show. And does he forget that at the end of Secret Invasion, sorry, spoilers for that awful TV show, there's a super-powered Skrull just floating around right now? So when the Kree are running around the universe, killing a bunch of Skrulls to get back at Carol Danvers, why are we not calling her? Why are we not like, hey, you want to handle this?
This seems to be a major flaw that Marvel itself has had in the recent years, is they forget what they've established already in universe. So a lot of things that, people have been getting excited about or worried about with this movie, you kind of have to sit back and you go, well, there's already this that can explain it, or this that can fix your issue that's been in the universe. So it feels like there's a lot of stakes that aren't actually stakes.
I've been a big fan of Kevin Feige since the MCU started. I think he had a great vision for the overall arc of Phase 1, 2, and 3. But ever since we hit Phase 4, he doesn't seem to have that vision anymore. He completed his story, and now he feels very lost. Especially when they introduce these MCU Disney Plus shows, the movies don't really talk to the shows all that much. And things get lost in translation. I think it's about time maybe they bring in somebody new to oversee the rest of it to tell their story. His story might be done. But let's talk about the biggest person in this movie, Brie Larson as Carol Danvers, aka Captain Marvel.
She just looked like she could not be bothered.
I have a feeling she had a really bad time with the original Captain Marvel movie. The amount of backlash she received while making that movie probably, made her not want to be in this universe anymore and play this character. She's a good actress. There's plenty of more things she could be doing, and I'm pretty sure while she was filming this, she was thinking about all of those other things. Because she is bland as hell in this movie. And I understand the character isn't supposed to be super emotional, but you've broken away from the Kree who held you prisoner and made you a weapon. You're starting to kind of put your life back together. You went through the whole thing with the Avengers of taking down Thanos. You worked with the team before. But you haven't grown as a character? At all? You just resort back to what you were like in the 90s? It's super weird. And I don't like it. And I'm not a Brie Larson hater by any means. I don't think she's the best actress in the world, but I think she's way better than anything she gave us in this movie. And the action scenes. Let's talk about those next. Could you tell what was going on? Because the idea of them switching powers while fighting people sounds really interesting until you try to visually represent it, and it just becomes a jumbled mess of who is doing what, where, when, and why.
I actually really enjoyed some of the fight scenes. They were edited to hell, but
Typical MCU.
But it brought something almost refreshing, having it be this almost chaotic instead of people being in control. So I really enjoyed that until they decided, you know what, we don't actually have to do that switching thing anymore. People will forget that we were doing that.
Yeah. So the idea of them switching powers is the crux of the entire movie. It's what stops them from being able to take down the bad guy pretty easily, because the bad guy in this one is Darben, played by Zawe Ashton. I'm not sure I'm pronouncing that name right, but forgive me. She makes Malekith from Thor: The Dark World look like an Oscar-worthy character. She is so bad, dull, boring, and her story makes no sense whatsoever, and I don't understand how she's fighting against all of them with no power. I understand they're all handicapped by switching, but at one point she's going one-on-one with them without powers, and she's winning?
I mean, she kind of has powers. She has the hammer thing.
She can absorb some power and, like, shoot back some power. It's a very undefined character.
Very undefined character. I thought the actress was fine in it. I think if they would have given her more to work with, it would have been a much more interesting character.
It just doesn't work for me.
She's forgettable.
Beyond forgettable. So you get ripped out of this movie over and over and over again, just when the movie has you, because they do have some good comedic moments where you're like, I'm kind of into this. Or they have some really great heartfelt moments where you're like, I'm kind of digging this. And then something happens that immediately pulls you out of it and just ruins any suspension of disbelief that you had going into this movie. I just can't get behind this one. If you guys have listened to any of our other reviews, you'll know I hated not Thor Ragnarok, I'm sorry. Wasn't a big fan of that one. But Thor Love and Thunder was the worst MCU movie for me. Mm-hmm. I think everything about that movie was trash.
Yeah.
This movie is just as bad. I will refuse to watch either one of these again, unless I absolutely have to for some reason, but I'm hoping that reason never comes, because I don't want to watch this movie again. I had no fun while doing it. The performances were all flat. The action scenes were all boring or way too chaotic to know what was actually happening, and the story made no sense whatsoever.
I had some fun while watching this one. I didn't take it as seriously because I think I went into it with very low standards, knowing that most people were panning this movie and the MCU's kind of like losing my trust.
Mm-hmm.
So I had no expectations going into this, and I actually kind of enjoyed it. Is it a great movie? No, not at all. But it's entertaining. It's a popcorn movie to me.
If you were drunk while eating that popcorn, the movie might be for you. No. Other than that, you're probably not going to enjoy this one. So it's going to get my lowest grade ever on this channel, an F. This is a hard F for me. I did not care about anything that happened in this movie. I was not entertained. I did not enjoy it. Pass. Hard pass. This movie's going to make zero money this weekend. Very low box office. Possibly the lowest opening weekend for an MCU movie ever. And it's all completely warranted. This is not a good movie. Do not let the craziness of this movie distract you from the fact that every single aspect of this movie fails.
With that being said, I'm actually going to give it a B-. I had fun while watching this movie. It's not a great movie. It's not one of the Marvel's best movies, and I can understand if it's not going to make money this weekend. It's not going to be everyone's cup of tea, but it was mine. I enjoyed it.
Don't be like her. Don't watch this movie. I implore you. Find any other movie to watch this weekend. All right, that's it for us for our review for Marvel's The worst MCU movie ever made. Let me know in the comments below if you agree with me or if you agree with her. You can also click the video on the screen to check out other things we've done. And until next time, remember, be good to yourself, be kind to others, and as always, keep watching movies.
Bye.